A senior citizen with a legal gun just got arrested during a routine traffic stop, and he did almost everything right. If you are 55 or older and you carry a firearm, what you do in the next 30 seconds of a traffic stop could be the difference between going home and going to jail. Quick question before we dive in. Are you subscribed? Because what I am about to walk you through could save you from a nightmare you never saw coming. Hit that subscribe button right now. 90% of gun owners miss critical legal updates like this one. I do not want you to be in that group. Hit the button. Now let us get into this. Here is what just happened and why it matters to every single senior gun owner in America today. The Supreme Court of the United States has been busy, and one specific area of law, traffic stops combined with gun rights, has been shaken up in a way that most gun owners do not even know about yet. We are going to break it all down today, step by step. No legal jargon, no confusing language, just the facts you need to protect yourself the next time those red and blue lights come on behind you. Let us start at the very beginning. You are driving home. Maybe you just left the pharmacy or picked up groceries. You have your legally owned, legally carried firearm on your hip or in your center console. An officer pulls you over, and then comes the moment that changes everything. The officer says those 4 words, "Sir, step out please." What do? What are you allowed to do? What happens to your gun during those next 60 seconds? Most seniors have no idea, and that missing knowledge is exactly what gets people in serious trouble. Here is the legal foundation you need to understand first. Back in 1977, the Supreme Court decided a case called Pennsylvania versus Mimms. Here is what that case said in plain English. Once a police officer lawfully stops your vehicle, that officer can order you, the driver, to exit the car. Full stop. No argument, no debate. It does not matter if you have a clean record. It does not matter if you have a gun. The officer has the legal right to say, "Step out," and you are legally required to comply. Then, in 1997, the court went even further in a case called Maryland versus Wilson. This time, they extended that same rule to passengers. So if your wife is in the car, or your buddy riding shotgun, the officer can tell everyone to get out, every single occupant. No probable cause needed, no specific suspicion needed. If the stop is lawful, the order to exit is lawful. Now here is the part most people get wrong. A lot of seniors think they can say, "Officer, I know my rights, and I do not have to get out of this car." That is wrong, and saying that could turn a simple traffic stop into something much worse. You do not want to be right about a legal technicality while you're getting handcuffed. Comply first. Talk to an attorney second. But wait, here is where your gun comes into the picture, and this is where you really need to pay attention. When you're ordered to step out of a vehicle and you're carrying a firearm, the way you handle those next 30 seconds matters enormously. There are 3 things you must know cold, like you know your own name. First thing, before you open the door or reach for anything, keep both hands visible on the steering wheel. Do not reach for your wallet. Do not reach for your registration. Do not reach for your firearm for any reason. Just keep those hands up where the officer can see them clearly. Second, check whether your state has what is called a duty to inform law. Some states require you to tell the officer right away that you have a firearm. States like Ohio, Michigan, and Texas. If you carry in those states, you are legally required to say something like this. "Officer, I want to let you know I have a valid concealed carry permit, and I am currently armed. My firearm is on my right hip." You say it calmly, you say it slowly, you do not reach for it, you just inform. Third, if your state does not have a duty to inform law, like Florida, Pennsylvania, or Arizona, you're not legally required to volunteer that information, but here's the smart play. If the officer asks you to step out and you are armed, you still want to tell them before you move. Why? Because an officer who discovers a hidden firearm by surprise is going to react very differently than one who was told up front. Your safety depends on keeping that officer calm and informed. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Every state has different laws. Every situation is different. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation, especially regarding your state's duty to inform requirements. If you are finding this helpful, imagine what you will learn in my next video. I'm breaking down the exact 5 words to say when a cop asks you directly, "Is there a weapon in this vehicle?" That video alone could keep you from making a statement that invites a full search of your car. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it when it drops. Now, let us talk about what just happened in 2025 at the Supreme Court, because this is the part nobody is talking about enough. In May 2025, the Supreme Court decided a case called Barnes versus Felix. And while this case was not specifically about gun owners, it changes the entire landscape of how traffic stop confrontations are judged. Here is what the case was about. A man named Ashtian Barnes was stopped by an officer named Roberto Felix for suspected toll violations. When Felix ordered Barnes to step out of the vehicle, Barnes began to drive away. The officer jumped onto the vehicle and fired, killing Barnes. Lower courts had been using something called the moment of threat doctrine. What that doctrine said, in plain English, was this: the only moment that matters. When judging whether a cop used excessive force is the specific second when the gun was fired. Everything that happened before that, they were not looking at it. The Supreme Court said no. They threw that doctrine out. The court ruled that you have to look at the totality of the circumstances. That means every action, every decision, every command in that entire sequence of events matters, not just the final second. Now, why does this matter to you as a senior gun owner? Here is why. This ruling changes how courts evaluate confrontations during traffic stops. It means there is now more legal room to challenge situations where a stop escalated into something dangerous. It also sends a message to law enforcement about how their actions, from the very beginning of a stop to the very end, will be judged. But here is what I also need you to hear clearly. This ruling does not give you permission to resist, argue, or drive away. The best legal protection you have is still a peaceful, calm, compliant traffic stop. You cannot use this ruling as a shield if you escalate the situation yourself. Here's the part that really shocked me when I dug into this deeper. Seniors are disproportionately affected by bad traffic stop outcomes when firearms are involved. And here is the real reason why. A lot of seniors carry legally and responsibly. They have had their permits for decades. They are not criminals, but they are also sometimes slower to move. Hearing problems, mobility issues, slower reaction time. These are real physical realities that officers on the street may misread as suspicious behavior or non-compliance. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Imagine you are 70 years old. You have a bad knee. An officer tells you to step out of the vehicle. It takes you 15 seconds to unbuckle your seatbelt, shift your weight, and swing your legs out. In those 15 seconds, a nervous officer sees someone who is not complying at a normal speed. That gap between your physical reality and the officer's perception is where things can go wrong. So what do? You communicate out loud, calmly, as you move. You say something like, "Officer, I am moving slowly because of my knee. I'm complying with your order. Both my hands are visible." You narrate your actions. You remove ambiguity. You protect yourself with words while your body moves at its own pace. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Hey, here is something interesting. Over 70% of people watching this video right now are not subscribed. That means most of you are at real risk of missing the next critical update when a new ruling drops or a state law changes overnight. Join the growing community of gun owners who get these updates first. Hit subscribe. Be part of the group that stays informed instead of getting caught off guard. Now let us bring this all together, because there are 4 specific rules I want every senior gun owner to memorize before they get back behind the wheel. Rule 1, always comply when ordered to exit. Pennsylvania v. Mimms and Maryland v. Wilson are settled law. The officer has the legal right to give that order. Your job is to comply safely and calmly. Rule 2, know your state's duty to inform law before you carry. This is not optional research. It is mandatory knowledge. If your state requires you inform immediately and clearly. If your state does not require it, you still inform before you begin to move for your own safety. Rule 3, narrate your movements, especially if you are slower due to age or physical limitation. Speak clearly. Tell the officer what you're doing before you do it. I'm reaching for my registration with my left hand. These words keep everyone calm. Rule 4, after the stop, no matter how it went, document everything. Date, time, location, officer's name, badge number, what was said, what was ordered, what you complied with. If anything went wrong, this documentation is the beginning of your defense. Here is something else most people do not talk about. After a traffic stop involving a firearm, even a completely peaceful one, consider calling your attorney or your concealed carry legal defense provider the same day. Not because you did anything wrong, but because if the officer filed any paperwork or notes about the stop, you want to know about it and have your own record. This information could literally shift in the next few months as courts continue applying the Barnes v. Felix standard. Subscribe right now because my next video is going to cover exactly what to expect from the courts in the next year and exactly which states are changing their traffic stop firearm notification laws before the end of 2026. You do not want to miss that. Subscribe before you close this tab. Here's the bottom line. When a police officer tells you to step out of the car, you comply. That is the law, and that has been the law since 1977. But how you comply, what you say, how you move, how you communicate that you are a legal gun owner, that is where your safety and your rights either get protected or they do not. The Supreme Court has been making it clear that what happens during a traffic stop matters from beginning to end. Every word, every movement, every second. And as a senior gun owner, you have every right to carry. You have every right to be treated with respect. And you have every right to go home safely after every single traffic stop. Final CTA. If this video helped you today, do me one favor. Subscribe to this channel right now. I spend real hours each week digging through Supreme Court decisions, state law updates, and legal cases so that you do not have to. All I ask is that you hit that subscribe button, share this video with one senior gun owner in your life who needs to see it, and leave a comment below telling me which state you carry in. I rate every comment. This community takes care of each other. Legal disclaimer: everything in this video is for educational purposes only. It is not legal advice. Gun laws vary significantly by state. Always consult a licensed attorney in your state for advice specific to your situation. Stay safe, stay legal, and I will see you in the next video.